Hi, I'm Jessica Koshimba with Wholly Healthy. And recently I was asked to talk to my parenting group at church a little bit about holistic health and the different dimensions of health and how we can help our kids develop those healthy habits through all their dimensions of life. And so I thought that was something that I really enjoyed the discussion with the other moms, and they gave me a lot of different ideas too. And I just wanted to share that with you in case you are a parent or if you're just an individual looking into holistic health and how to balance those different areas of your life. So, looking through some of these slides, so basically, what we're looking at today is holistic health. And a lot of times I know that holistic health is one of those things that you hear and you think Eastern medicine or you think acupuncture or yoga, meditation, those are the answers. But actually, the word holistic just means something with all of its parts as a whole. And that's the whole idea behind my company, Wholly Healthy, is looking at our health as a whole. And so, holistic health, I personally use 6 different dimensions. You might hear fewer, but I was a health teacher, and these are the dimensions that I used with my students, and I've seen other teachers use before too. This was the first unit I would do with my students, and I would have them pick out unique aspects from each of these dimensions just to help them understand what those dimensions meant in their life. And I think it's really important that we take a look at each one of these and identify which with each one of these because each of them plays a very important role in our life. So spiritual health, it can have to do with your faith life. For me, this is the most important. I do believe in God. I do have a faith life. You're going to see some Bible verses throughout this slide. If you're a believer or if you have a relationship with God, then hopefully you can, dig a little deeper into this slide and get a little more meaning from it. But if you're not, that's okay too, because spiritual health is not just having to do with our relationship with God. It also has to do with how aligned our life is with our beliefs or our end goals in life. And so if, let's say, it's your 80th birthday, who is surrounding you? What are they saying about you? Are they complimenting more on your business skills or who you were as a family member? And what do you want them to comment on? And just kind of thinking about these overarching life goals. And are you living a life right now that is going to get you to that goal? And then our physical health is next. So I like to say there's 3 pillars of physical health: our nutrition, sleep, and exercise. I have a few other things that I'm going to go into a little bit that apply more to kids in this dimension of health too. But for now, let's just talk about the 3 pillars. Nutrition, the food we put into our body is a fuel for us, and how healthy that food is really detrimental to our health in a lot of ways. How much sleep we're getting, I think we've all noticed this effect in our life before. And then exercise as well. So how active we are, it might not be necessarily if we're going to the gym every day. It might even be, do you have an active job? Are you a mailman? You don't need to go to the gym then. Are you going on walks with your family? And the next dimension is social. So this is all to do with our relationships, friendships, acquaintances, intimate relationships. All of those fall into this category. Intellectual, so this is our hobbies, career, and volunteering. So it's not just your job, but it's also what you're passionate about, what you enjoy doing with your time, and how you're pursuing it. Everyone has one of those subjects that they could ramble on and on about. Like for me, it's holistic health, clearly. But it just what really lights that fire inside of you. And then mental health, what messages are you sending yourself? Your self-talk, what's your demeanor and your perspective on life? So this, it's not whether or not you have diagnosed mental illness. It's more to do with your general perspective on life. And then environmental, sometimes this one's a little confusing because it sounds like, okay, we can't control the weather, but it's more your immediate environment in your home, your surroundings. How organized are you? How well do you take care of the things in your home? Is your kitchen sink full of dirty dishes? And, just talking about the stress levels that are surrounded with kind of chaos in your home. Or if there's a really dark room, brightening that up. And, it can even have to do with how you decorate different spaces or your workplace. If you live in a cubicle, are you putting inspirational things around you instead of just staring at a gray wall all day? So those are the different dimensions of health. And then this is just, we went through all of them, but it's just the importance of realizing that each of these dimensions affect one another and need to be worked at continuously in order to maintain overall wellness. So it's kind of the idea that, if let's say your mental health isn't doing the best, that is going to affect every other area of your life. It might mean, you're not doing the dishes and they're sitting there in the sink. And then it's going to make you even more stressed out. Or your mental health isn't the best. So you're not sending yourself positive messages. And then you skip a day at the gym because of that negativity. And then your physical health is starting to fail. So all of these things are intertwined and they need to be held in balance. And in the same way, if something's going really well in one dimension, let's say you start going on a 30-minute walk every day, you might notice that your mood is boosted. You might notice that you're more productive throughout the day, that you want to clean up your spaces. You have more energy to play with your kids. So it can go either way. And so that's why this idea of holistic health is so important. And specifically, it's really important for us to kind of set our children up for success in each of these different dimensions, because we want them not only to get through life, but we want them to flourish in life. And, I think a lot of times health is seen as, are you sick or not? But this is the idea. It's expanding that idea and setting our kids up for success. You're going to hear me say the word scaffold a lot today, because a scaffold kind of means gradually building these skills throughout their lives. So, for instance, it might be, scaffolding religion or faith in your child. You're not just all of a sudden, once they're old enough, like 12 years old, going to tell them all about Jesus and tell them that there's this guy that died on a cross and tell them this horror story. But you're going to, plant little seeds throughout their life about Jesus and his love. You're going to sing songs. You're going to pray with them. You're going to read the Bible with them. And you're scaffolding what you hope is going to one day be a relationship with God for them, because you want them to experience the same faith you have, because that's something that's really important in your life. Or maybe it's, exercise. You're helping them move every single day. You're talking to them about the importance of moving and getting, I like to say, get your energy out. Like, what should we do? Should we do an obstacle course when it's a hot day, or should we go swimming on a nice day, or a family walk? Those things, making them a part of their daily life, but also helping them understand why it's important. We're scaffolding, we're planting seeds in different areas of their life so that eventually when they're older, they can grow into well-balanced, healthy adults. So spiritual health is the first one I'm going to talk about. And like I said, I did pull a Bible verse for each of these dimensions of health, because I really do feel that God not only wants us to be healthy, but he wants us to pursue that health and to take care of ourselves in every dimension. He wants what's best for us in life, and he wants us to flourish. And so I just found some interesting verses that are in line with each of these dimensions of health. So spiritual health is devote yourself to prayer, being watchful and thankful. So some daily practices that you use to encourage your family's spiritual health. So this might be prayers before meals or bed, using God in conversation. This is something that I think my parenting group has helped a lot with, of, a lot of times growing up in more of a stoic faith life, it was, okay, we're praying before bed, we're praying before meals, and maybe we'll do devotions as a family during Christmas and going to church. And those are all amazing things, and they were great foundations in my life. But one thing that was kind of uncomfortable and that I'm trying to make more of a comfortable thing in my household is talking about God in conversation. Look at that beautiful sunset God made for us. Or it might be we're frustrated with each other. This is one of my favorite examples. And, if anyway, it was when we get frustrated with each other, my daughter and I, because, she is a mini me. And if you've experienced that before, it can get very frustrating. But we're frustrated with one another. And I said, let's pray. And I'm trying to turn to prayer more often and say, dear God, please help us both to find peace and to forgive one another and to love one another and to get over our frustration and just help us to realize that we were made for one another and you gave us one another. And, just a quick little prayer like that. And, even making the words more simple for my 3-year-old to understand. But the cool thing about this was I was consistently doing it. I have not been as good about it lately, but I was consistently doing this for a while when my daughter was going through a series of tantrums. And luckily it didn't last that long, but one time she was having a tantrum when we were leaving somewhere, and she said, "Pray for me, mommy." And it was, like instant tears were brought to my eyes. But, how cool is that she realizes the power of prayer at this point in her life. Christian music in the car ride is another one. Just exposing them to some of those simple words that songs, they learn very well through songs as they're growing up. And then continuous prayer as well. I use that example. If you are not someone that does have a faith life, so spiritual health, this is going to be more holding yourself and others accountable. And this is, whether or not you have, if you do have a faith life, this is something you should be applying to. But, looking at your schedule and looking at your kids' schedule and saying, okay, if we choose to be on this volleyball team, we're going to be missing church every Sunday. Is that how we want to align our life? What are our priorities in life? What are our end goals? And maybe we'll join this team instead because they do things on Saturdays. Maybe it's you deciding, hey, we need to do our homework first because good grades are something that is going to help us succeed in life. And you want to be a doctor when you grow up. So if you want to be that doctor, you need to make sure you're getting your homework done first. And it's these different ideas of talking about those end goals and aligning your life with them as well. Next is physical health. So this is something that obviously is really close to my heart as a collegiate athlete. I was a PE teacher along with being a health teacher, and exercise, working out, nutrition is something that came into my life, in the middle school years when I was really struggling with self-image, and it was such an outlet for me. And it was something that, I have been better and worse at different points in my life. But physical health is just something that it's all God wants us to take care of our bodies. And that verse just puts it so well. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And one of my whys or one of my motivations for taking care of myself is to take care of the body that God has given me. And that's something that I want for my daughter. I want her to see the benefits of exercise and healthy eating and sleep. And I want her to adopt that so much because those are your basic needs of getting sleep and feeding your body fuel, and that movement factor of, if you aren't moving your body, you aren't going to be as healthy as you possibly can be. And so some of the things you can do in your daily life for encouraging physical health, healthy meals, the stats for someone that has obese parents, their chances of being obese also are well over 50%. And I'm sure you can all think of a habit that you have from your childhood that's very hard to break. but nutrition is deeply ingrained, and it's very hard to break a habit of poor nutrition for a child. So just thinking about that and trying to prepare those healthy meals. If you're not doing it right now, it might be an awesome thing for your kid to see you starting to do that and placing an importance on that. And, like my daughter loves to help me cook and measure, and that's something I want to continue for her, is to that enjoyment of cooking and making fresh meals. And if it's something you don't have time for, just still making a point of making healthy choices. Instead of McDonald's, it might be Subway or Panera, and looking at the ingredients and putting good fuel into your body and teaching your kids how to do that as well. Early bedtime. So, it depends on your schedule. It doesn't necessarily need to be early if you're all late risers, but it's just the importance of getting sleep and in explaining that to your child throughout their life too. I remember in high school and college, it was the first thing to go was sleep, but how much more beneficial, or how much more would I have been able to do if I would have placed more of an importance on sleep at those points in my life. I think that sleep is something that for smaller kids especially, they don't want to do it, but I think it's saying again and again, it's helping you grow, it's helping you stay healthy, it's helping us not be crabby, it's helping you stay in a good mood and get happy again. And everybody needs sleep, and just having those conversations when they're small and continuing to reiterate that as they grow older. Exercise. So again, this is more an active lifestyle. So family walks, going to the park, taking hikes. In winter, maybe you're cross country skiing, you're sledding and walking up that hill, and and not just like trying to sneak it into your kid's life and being like, hey, let's get energy out so that they sleep better tonight. But it's having those purposeful conversations of, you're taking care of your body, you're getting stronger when you're doing this, and you're growing, and just how you're staying healthy, and it's helping your body digest your food, and you're using that fuel, and all of those things, those conversations that you can have from when they're young, and making a point of having some kind of activity throughout the day. And it might be a day that we don't do a lot of movement, and having the conversation of, hey, I'm sorry, kiddo, we should have moved more today. It might be hard for us to sleep tonight because we didn't get a whole lot of movement, or we should have taken care of our bodies a little better. Tomorrow, let's make sure we do something. And having those open conversations about the importance of exercise. And then this is where I added in, so those were the 3 pillars, was the nutrition, sleep, and exercise. But then I added in hygiene, because hygiene is something that is really important to teach kids too. And, teaching health, especially for middle schoolers, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to teach kiddos how to take care of their bodies. And, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but if you have a girl at home, please tell her that her body is going to change, and she's going to get her period, and she's not dying or drastically ill when she gets that, and prepare her so she knows what's going to be happening. Set them up to, not get sick as often, teaching them tactics for washing their hands, singing happy birthday while they're washing their hands, making sure they're getting the fronts and backs of their hands, and getting all of their teeth when they're brushing, and make it fun. We floss and we do 1, 2, buckle your shoe, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge ordeal that you make them do, but make it fun, and help them to have good hygiene and understand why that's important. We wash our hands for this long and in this way to get all the germs off. And there's some great videos out there on germs, and how they can turn into the stomach bug or whatever it might be, just for when they're smaller. But in those middle school years especially, just make sure that you're having the conversation about, for girls, shaving their legs, for all kids, wearing deodorant and showering regularly. And it was so sad for me to see some of these kids whose parents didn't have these conversations. And again, it's scaffolding. It's not all of a sudden you're going to pop the puberty talk on them and tell them that there's such thing as germs, but throughout their life until that point, you're going to be talking to them about how their body is going to change. And, when my daughter asks why my body looks different than hers, like being honest with her and telling her what the anatomical names for body parts are and not being ashamed of that. So they're not ashamed to talk to you. And I think it's going to be a lot easier to have those conversations if you're not embarrassed about it, because they're going to feel more comfortable coming to you. Next is social health. So the verse I pulled for this is, instead be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. So how do you strengthen your family's social health daily? So this is something just, I think the most important one on this list that you could possibly do is having at least that 30 minutes of screen-free family time a night. Just enjoying each other's company. It might be over dinner, doing highs and lows of the day. My daughter right now, who knows how long it'll last, but she likes getting words. She says, that can be my word. And we talk about the definition of the word. It's like a vocabulary word. And, just having some of those fun conversations. And maybe it's bedtime I love you rituals. We tell stories. We have different kisses. She gets to pick which, if we give her a sneaky kiss or a dinosaur kiss or what kind of hug she wants. And we just make sure that we're taking that time to connect and to have some quality moments together every single day. And we build that into a routine at dinner and a routine at bedtime. And, just not only making that time for her, but also for each other, my husband and I, helping her to see us communicating. And even if it is us working through some kind of a fight or, us maybe not agreeing with each other, but still loving each other and, being respectful to one another, because our relationship is definitely setting the tone for what she is going to look for in a relationship when she gets older. And it's kind of building a foundation. And so I want, it's very important that you're thinking about how your relationship is, not only with them, but your relationship with your significant other and or other adults or friends that are close to you, so that they see what a healthy relationship looks like. And also connection when they're talking to you, making sure you're looking them in the eye and really listening to them. Because I think there was like a quote of, if you don't listen to the things that you feel are the little things when your child is little, they're not going to tell you the big things when they get older. Because to them, it is a big deal when they're younger that they just saw a dog outside the window. It's the biggest deal. And if we ignore them and we don't give them the time of day for that, the more that they get ignored and the more that they're not heard when they're really excited about something or something seems really important to them, if we're not giving them that attention, we're not going to have that relationship as they get older. And, just making sure that we're connecting and we're showing them too how to listen to someone when they're talking. If we're responding to them and we are, making eye contact with them. And, this also has to do with conflict resolution. If we're not happy with them, going to them and them seeing us go to other people if we're unhappy with them, and being honest with them rather than talking about someone behind their back. And I think that's, a very strong role model that you can, kind of set a precedence on, making sure that how you have your own relationships and how you are acting in your daily life is what you want for them. And that goes across the board for every dimension. It's not just in relationships. It's, how much are you exercising? What are you eating? Are you praying in front of them? And, same goes for every dimension of health. It's your actions speak a lot louder than your words. Intellectual health. So like I was saying before, this isn't necessarily just your job and what your grades are and things like that. So the verse is, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. How do you strengthen your family's intellectual health in your daily routines? So this one is, I love some of the ideas that are that families do for this. Just sometimes you'll even see on movies, they have like trivia time at dinner or whatever it might be. It's really cool how you as a family can kind of build intellectual health. Like I was saying, Naomi, my daughter, is really interested in like the word of the day right now and building her vocabulary. And it's so much fun to just hear her. Like at gymnastics, she just, she started clapping because she was so excited, and she said, "This is marvelous." And just hearing that come out of a then 2-year-old's mouth was just really cool to see, her brain working and her having confidence in using those words. When your kids get a little older, just bringing home lessons from school and seeing what they're really interested in. And, you want them to be interested in everything, but if they are in particularly really interested in something, just kind of encouraging them to dive a little deeper with that and to, like we have the world at our fingertips now with technology, and just encouraging them to join a group or even follow a post or whatever it might be, a group on their phone, or getting an app, or getting them something to get really excited about that and pursue something that they're passionate about, because that God places that fire in our hearts for certain things. And I truly believe that. And I think if that gets quashed, or if we don't, encourage that passion, I think it's really hard for a kiddo or a person to know who they are. It's part of their identity, is what they get excited about. So just really making sure you're encouraging the things that your kids are excited about, and not putting the brakes on it. Let's say they want to be a ballet dancer, go for it. Just, totally be there to encourage them in that, and say, I'm going to be at the recital, and here are times that we can practice. And being behind them for these passions that they have. They might not last, but just encouraging them, because when that big dream does come, or they want to pursue something big in their life, you want them to believe that they can do it, and you want them to be excited about it. I think that it's important to teach the kind of, I don't know, it's important to teach the importance of a steady job and getting an income. But I think that is just as important to make sure that a job is something that a person enjoys, because that's where you spend so much of your life. And if you're not enjoying it, it's draining. And just having those conversations as they grow up, like letting them make choices. Where do you want to go today? Do you want to go to the museum, or do you want to go to the zoo? Or it might be, do you want to go to the park, or do you want to stay at home and make a book with mom? Whatever it might be, help them make those decisions, and kind of expand their experiences so that they can find out what they're passionate about and pursue that in their life. And yeah, different activities too, like encourage them to be involved in a lot of things, a lot of activities. And for you as an adult too, intellectual health is something that I was unfulfilled. I loved teaching health and PE in Minnesota, and the education system there is amazing. And so I was getting to do awesome things like talk about fitness, and heart rate monitors were given to us by the school for our kids to wear every single day. They actually got graded and got daily points based off of how long that they were in their target heart rate zone during the class. And how cool is that they have had those tools to understand how healthy they were being and how long they were getting in the zone. And health too was just an amazing thing. Like I feel like so every kid needs health education, I feel like. And just talking about if it's sex education, if it's teaching about drugs and alcohol, I think all of those things are so important for our kids to know. And while I'm on that subject, I'll finish my thought first. But when I came down to Arizona, they don't teach health education in the district I was in. They don't even teach it. And PE was a glorified recess, and I felt so unfulfilled and so disappointed. And finding the ability to stay home and to build Wholly Healthy and to pursue health in a different way was so important for me, because I was very unfulfilled and I was kind of at a dead end. I wasn't happy because I wasn't fulfilled in my work. And so I think that's something that's important for everyone, to feel that they're in a position where they can have fulfillment. But what I was going to say was, while I was on the topic of health education, I just wanted to go back briefly to social health and talking about those intimate relationships. And, sex education specifically is something that I feel that we really need to scaffold for our kids. Like I was saying before, teaching them the anatomical words for different body parts and using them and not being embarrassed about them is the first thing that you can do for your kid for sex education. And then, I'm having the conversation right now of why we want to keep our body covered in public, because when we have a dress on and you're a little girl and you're lifting it up, why it's important. It's cute, but also having the conversation of, we keep our bodies covered because there's parts of our body that are special just for us and to your mommy and daddy. And just having those conversations of how there are things that we do need to be a little bit more modest about, and it's not because it's embarrassing. It's because they're really special and God gave them to us, and we're unique and they're only ours. And that's those are the first conversations that you can have with your kiddo. And as they get older, then the conversations are going to be more comfortable and more natural. As it might be they hear something at school about kissing or whatever it might be, or boyfriends and girlfriends. They're going to come to you at that stage then. And we Lion King, can you feel the love tonight? She, what's love, what is marriage? And telling her about that, and how two people want to spend their lives together and they love each other enough that they want to have kids together. And having those open conversations and not being embarrassed in your answers when they ask you those questions is so key, because if they think you're embarrassed, they're going to think it's an embarrassing thing they shouldn't be talking about. And so just make sure that as they're going through their lives, this is something you talk about, because if you're not having those open conversations, this is really something that you're leaving your kid at a disadvantage. Because if they get to high school and they don't know anything, it's innocence is good only to a point. Because if they're going to find out from other kids, they're going to find out from other people. And if they're not from there, they're going to look on the internet and they're going to try and figure it out, because no one likes being left in the dark. And I personally would much rather that they get the information from me, and they get it in a loving environment, and they get it in a way that they know it's not something they need to be embarrassed about. It's something that they can talk about openly with the people that they're close to, and hopefully make healthy decisions when they get to those points of being in intimate relationships and being respected in those relationships, and feeling that the other person they're with, they're a team with them. And I just think there's just so many benefits that you can give to your kid if you are scaffolding and planting these seeds throughout their lives, as far as sex education is considered too. Mental health is: peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. So mental health, this is something that I just feel very strongly that kids that just get put in timeouts or yelled at without giving an explanation or without having that teaching moment, we're setting them up to show them that when they're doing something wrong, we want to distance ourselves from them. I've seen timeouts being done in a healthy way. I've seen being sent to your room being done in a healthy way, but at the same time, think about the message you're sending when you're doing some of these discipline techniques and making sure you have a follow up and you're not just sending them away because you're upset with them because of how you feel. You need to always look through the lens of teaching. This happened, this was wrong, but it's up to you to teach them what is right. A lot of times kids don't know how to use their words to tell another kid they want to share. And that's why they grab the toy. Or they don't know how to tell another kid that they hurt their feelings, so they might even hit them. And it's not up to us to just discipline them. Consequences are a good thing, they are a teaching thing. But what is even more powerful than that is our conversations with them and teaching them how to do better in the future. Because we are parents, we are teachers to the core. That is what parents are. And if we're not teaching them the verbiage to use, the reactions, if we're not teaching them how to deal with these things, they're not going to learn. All they're going to learn is if I hit someone, I get punished. They're not going to learn if I hit someone or if I'm upset with someone, this is what I should do instead of hitting. And so, it is mental health because we are the voice in their head so much of the time. And, I think how we interact with them and the way we treat them and those delicate moments of discipline, it's very important for us to teach and to do so in love rather than anger and get a hold of ourselves and our reactions in order to do so and not react in anger and punish out of anger. But so other ways that we can positively build our mental health is encouraging words to one another, shout outs, recognitions, being like, hey, thank you so much for making me breakfast this morning. That was so kind of you. And just building each other up when you see them doing things for one another or doing something awesome in their life. Encouragement is so important for confidence because, for one negative, I could get 10 positives and I would still dwell on that negative. And I think that's true of so many people. We need positive encouragement in our lives to flourish. And, not only do they need to hear that for themselves, but they need to see you doing that to other people as well, to your spouse, to, your coworkers, whoever they see you with. That's something that we should be doing in our lives. Teaching positive internal talk. If they make a mistake, if they're frustrated, I know my daughter, she can't get the top of the blocks off and she'll throw the blocks across and she'll just get so frustrated. And I just know, there's already a little bit of a negative talk happening there and just saying, I can't do this yet, but mommy can help me. And, I can't do this yet. Not, I can't do this. I'm never going to be able to do this. That downward spiral. It's something you can't do yet. It doesn't mean you're never going to be able to do it. I can't reach the counter. Not yet, but you're going to be able to. Let's use a chair. And, just trying to build that voice inside of them to be as positive as possible. Teaching tactics for calming worries and stress also, I think, is really important. I know the demeanor of my daughter is a lot different than it is for other kids, but she does have a little more worry and stress. We're expecting a second and I can tell the stress level has raised. And I was noticing the same thing. We were going to start her in preschool this year and we decided not to because I could see how stressed she was about it. And we don't need to send her to 3 years of preschool. And it was something that was causing more stress than happiness in her life. And it's not that I don't want her to go through hard things because I think it's important to, there's some things that we're just going to have to do and this is how we can get through it. That's important, but also, how can we calm those worries and stress when we are going through some of those harder things? And, it might be having a conversation with God and asking him for peace, or it might be thinking about the positives about that. If it had been kindergarten in this situation that my daughter was stressed about, we would have had to send her to school. And so some of the conversations would have shifted to, Okay, think about your friends, think about the fun things you get to learn, think about recess. And, there will be some scary parts, be honest with them, especially at first. But think about gymnastics and how when you started going to gymnastics by yourself, you were kind of scared then too, but it turned out okay. And, using their past experiences to help them deal with their current circumstances too, and their current worries and stress, and having that foundation of God too. Speaking positively about others, inclusion. I talked about that before. I can't stress it enough. We're not talking about other people negatively, commenting on their outfits. Oh, that looks funny. Oh, why do you think she decided to wear that? Or her voice or his voice is really weird. Those things, we can get a laugh out of them sometimes, but what are we teaching our child when we do those things? And just, it might be someone we're jealous of that we're even saying some of those things about. And instead, we could just say, you know what? She is very successful, or she is very pretty, or it might be if someone, did something mean, it might be, hurt people. If they're hurt on the inside, a lot of times they try to hurt other people, and teaching that idea of hurt people. And, I was trying to look at other situations through a positive light as well. And then just overall, a positive, uplifting attitude of overcoming negativity is just, and you're going to have negativity in your life. You're going to have tough days, but helping your kids see you get through that is so important. And you can even say, like, I think it was last night, I've been saying to my daughter lately, my mind is just cloudy. My mind doesn't work as well lately. I'm sorry, I forgot that, or whatever. And she got corrected. She said something wrong, and she said, oh, my mind just doesn't work very well right now. And, it's good to admit when you're not at your best, and it's good to admit when you make a mistake. And it's good to be able to say that, and for your kids to hear you say that. But, because you need to show them how to overcome that negativity or overcome that mistake. Because if they don't see that, and they don't see that you admitting that, it's going to be really hard for them to do it. Last, we have environmental health. And I brought you into this plentiful land to enjoy its fruits and its good things. God wants us to enjoy the things he gave us on this earth. He doesn't want us to idolize them. He doesn't want us to put them on a pedestal and put material things above him. But he does. He put all of these things here for us to enjoy. Why do you think there's so many amazing different flavors of food for us to enjoy? And, that doesn't mean we should overeat. That doesn't mean that we should, eat all the bad things. But he gave us all of those wonderful things because he knows we have to eat, and he wants us to enjoy it. Why did he give us so many different colors? Why did he, just give us so many different things in nature so that we can decorate our spaces, and we can, just make our life come alive in a way that appeals to us. He wants us to be surrounded by all of the good things because life is hard. He doesn't want us not to enjoy things. But it's just, I think the danger comes in putting those things on a pedestal and making them more important. So, teaching organization and taking care of the clothes, those unique clothes that we get to buy that are our style, taking care of them, putting them away, putting our shoes on the shoe rack, putting our toys away. Those are important things that we have these awesome things from God, but let's take care of them now. Chores is a whole nother thing. Talking about some of the conversations I had with other moms was, how are you, what was it like going off to college? Did you know how to do your laundry? Did you know how to cook a meal? Those are things we really need to teach our kids, and the importance of doing them consistently too. I'm not going to sweep the floor every single day. That's just not going to happen. But it's good for my daughter to see me cleaning. It's good for her to see me sweeping the floor, because cleanliness is an important thing, and taking care of our house and showing her that, putting our toys away is important so they don't get stepped on and get broken. Those are important. We need to take care of the things that God has given us. And, like I said before, reminders that it is just stuff and it's for us to appreciate and care for, but ultimately it is just stuff. It's materialistic things, Marie Kondo your house if you want to, and, see if things bring you joy. Live a minimalist lifestyle if you find that things are getting out of hand and things are getting too tempting and you're putting materialistic things on a pedestal. Do something about it, absolutely. But if you're able to have things and enjoy them and not put them on a pedestal, that's okay, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. Just overall, I hope you got some good takeaways from this presentation. And I dove into a lot of things, and this was basically like I would, as long as I would have taken to teach a class. But there's just so many different areas of health and so many different things that we can do to set our kids up for success, not only in the physical dimension, but in every dimension of health. And so, I'm excited. We haven't talked about some of these dimensions in my parenting group, and I'm sure there's so many more ideas I'm going to get as we have these conversations, and just how other moms and other households, scaffold some of these things for their kiddos. And if you do want to leave some comments below, I would love to hear more ideas for all of these dimensions. And I really hope that this is something that you can use in your daily life and as you parent. So thanks for listening. And like I said, I hope that this leads not only you, but your kiddos to lead healthier lives and to just, have some ideas on how to do that. Thank you.